Hello, I'm Breganowski.
And I'm Austin Morales, and you're watching The Inner Gamer On.
And today we'll be talking about what it would look like if they brought a PvP component into Marvel Avengers. What would that be? How would that work?
And as always, if you enjoy this content, please like, subscribe, and bang that bell, because we know you're liking it. Thanks for all the new subscribers. We really appreciate it. No, seriously, you're awesome. I got a question for you.
Yeah.
I have an answer for myself, but what do you think a multiplayer would look like for this game?
Oh, like a PvP?
Mm-hmm. You know, they got it in Destiny. And it works very well because of the gameplay mechanics that they have implemented. I feel like that could be interesting here. I just want to hear your thoughts before I say something.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I mean, I could see it being kind of like Overwatch, where you have, but I don't think Marvel, maybe. I mean, what if they introduce the ability to play as villains, and then you could play as...
That's exactly what I was thinking. They have like a villains DLC or something that complement, the heroes.
Yeah.
And then you just go head to head with each other in different objectives and stuff.
That could be a really interesting concept, because I think of like, with Overwatch, you have the Overwatch side, and then you have the dark side with like the
very minimal
those
enemies.
different characters and stuff, but like Widowmaker's on the dark side, and then you have like Diva that's not, and just like what those differentiations are, but they do work well together in the space of like a PvP situation. But I could definitely see them taking, because like they announced one enemy. Well, obviously in the one that we saw, the trailer they had with Taskmaster, that was a boss battle you can fight, and that'll be in the beta. And then they also said that there's another enemy villain guy you can fight against, but it could be cool. I just don't know. Like, I mean, in your mind, being more comic enthusiast than I am, like, do villains, I feel like in my novice mind of comic lore and stuff like that, Iron Mans and Hulks and stuff like that always have these like crazy epic different types of powers, and then you have a boss that just has like one thing that they do, and they do it really well, and that what makes them difficult, but they don't have like a variety of things that they can do. Is that accurate to say, or is it just my perception based off of what I've seen?
I think it's your perception, because Taskmaster is an interesting villain because he's a copycat, so he can look at someone's fight style and implement that into his fight style. So he sees how Iron Man fights. He sees how Hawkeye fights. So he has a bow. He has a shield. He has Black Panther's claws. Like, he can do everything they do. So with that, he has the ability to do just about anything. Honestly, given he has the right tools to back it up. So you have things like that can make for an interesting play style. Now, I think given the way Destiny's outlined, you rank up, you get more armor, and then you go into the Crucible, and then you fight, and sometimes leveling applies, and sometimes it doesn't. And I think maybe having a villains DLC might be counterintuitive, because now you probably want to level up your villains. What does that look like? That's a whole other version of the game, technically, that you would have to implement, and people have to work after in order to challenge these heroes, depending on how multiplayer works. But I can see him doing something like Overwatch, where it's just like a bunch of the same heroes fighting each other out and seeing how that goes. Multiplayer might be something way down the line at this point.
That could be, there could be a lot of potential there. Like, I really like that idea of having I think of it almost like, in a weird way, kind of like Left 4 Dead, with your 4 survivors and then your 4 your 4 zombies. Yeah. Where it's like, they're different play style, but they exist in that framework there.
Yeah, it could be where you just take the cosmetics in there. You don't take the actual things you're earning in the campaign and the world and stuff.
Yeah, I think that could be what it would exist as. Is you have like, it's just a stripped down version of what, like, you don't have your hero character, but you have a version of the hero character that's like stripped down into the bare bones. Because again, it's like, in Destiny, the difference between regular mode and then Iron Banner. Like Iron Banner takes into account your power level and all that stuff, whereas the other version does not. This could be that kind of mindset where it's stripped out of the Iron Banner and it's just, this is competitive PvP, go head to head, have 3 moves plus an ultimate, and then just battle it out.
Yeah.
And then have its own set of like loot gear and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That could be really cool.
We were talking to Jason actually about this, and he brought up a good point of how a Civil War type of DLC could really implement a PvP, which would, you take Tony's team versus Captain America's team, and after you get all these different characters in the actual game, so definitely later down the life cycle of this game, you could implement a PvP. But, you can just take these characters and everyone picks, their favorite character, because Civil War in the comics has a crap ton of people in it, right? So you could technically have, instead of, I guess you could do 4-on-4, you could technically do have 8 characters on each side and everyone picks them. And I don't know, it could be more of a, I don't want to say MOBA-esque, because everyone actually has their, each character will have their positives and negatives and stuff. So I think that'd be an interesting way to implement that. Am I missing anything from that, Brett, that conversation we had?
No, I think that's about right. I mean, I could see that definitely tying into like a story, because that could be part of the whole live service bits of this like ongoing universe of story content, where there is a moment where there's like a event like A-Day that takes place that causes this civil war to break out, and then you can tie all that in there and then be like, oh, and by the way, it's adding a PvP component to the game, and then you can come in here and pick all your characters. And I definitely think like once you get, after they get this first set out there, which would be like ultimately 10, what they'll do about the exclusive Spider-Man, I don't know yet, but it would be interesting to have that gameplay style and just have them duke it out and fight, or give me like a harm room kind of situation where it's like they're in a virtual environment fighting each other, and it's not really fighting each other, it's practicing with one another. That could be like another piece or a piece to it in some way, but I like just having like an actual like fight. Yeah. Like there's the Civil War happening, but then what would that look like for the rest of the story? That's what I'm curious about. Exactly. How would that change things? So that they're all in the Chimera working together. Well, now they're not working together. So what does that do to like story content, and how would that adjust and change?
I know, it's interesting. They can go so many different directions. I really think the harm room makes a lot more sense for PvP than Civil War, because if you only have it'd be cool if you can pick a bunch of people without restraint. Well, with Civil War, depending on how they do that, or Jason laid it out, was that you will have restraint on characters that you can pick. And what do those people look like? I mean, you kind of need. Well, I guess you don't. If we want to go off Destiny, you just have some of the best guns, interesting abilities, and just go all out. It's possible and it can be fun. But I think I don't know. Bleeding Edge has really kind of changed my opinion on a lot of. Well, I don't want to say changed my opinion. I guess kind of expanded my thoughts on PvP, because I really like how they have that MOBA-esque where it's like you need a tank, you need a healer, or even Overwatch. Like you need these certain things, and you don't necessarily need a healer in this, but maybe you need some people. You need a balanced team. And the way that the gear is going to manipulate your. Well, this might not be part of it, but the way the gear manipulates the way you play might play a role in PvP as well. So I'm curious to see how it's like. I do more damage than I have health, or however that works out in the end. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I like to see how that all affects that. But in the end, I don't know. Destiny PvP, you get rewards that help you, that focus you on PvP, right? Or like focused rewards, guns, armor, and stuff for PvP damage.
Yeah, I don't know. I wish I knew more about the comic story, like the stories in the comics, to think about how this would all come into play. But there's a lot of ways that just the way the fighting style works. Like PvP could be so much fun with just like having different objective. They already have it when you're doing the threat rooms, where it's like control the points. You have that stuff in there. Like it could easily translate into a PvP experience. Yes. Where you're trying to like fight and control points throughout a map, or doing something even broader. Like I liked when, this is completely different, but I like the push and pull of whenever Call of Duty World War II came out. They had that war game mode where it was like pushing through front lines down one direction, the other ones are pushing back the other way, and like, you know, Battlefield has had things like that too. But it could be there was a set objective where like one group was defending, the other group was attacking, and they were trying to do a thing. So it could be like one group is trying to like hack a terminal,
right.
The other group is defending said terminal, and they break through that. I mean, think of like Titan mode in Battlefield 2042. It's like you have these different tiers of progression that's like a push and pull back and forth. That could be an interesting game mode that could work really well with these superhero powers.
Yes. I agree with that.
In a kind of environment. Bigger, kind of broader spaces, you know, like not the small like aim rooms you have, but like big open spaces where there's like a bunch of crazy room for destruction, blasts, and this, that, whatever.
Yeah.
Environmental effects and things.
That's why I'm kind of seeing Bleeding Edge kind of gameplay, because everyone has a role to play, you know?
Yeah.
Like you need a tank, you need a healer, you need someone who does a lot of damage. Again, you wouldn't have the healer, but, you know, just as a class, support class, you know, stuff like that.
I mean, it would be interesting to have like, you know, 3 of you working together to go chase down. I mean, like you have the Hulk, Thor, and Iron Man going to chase down and take down a Black Widow. I don't know, or Hawkeye, and be like, all right, let's gank him over here and you know, take him out. That'd be interesting. Be weird. Or like use them together to chain attacks. Like have like where you'd have different power abilities that can work together. Like say if you're playing Spider-Man, you could web up a character to tighten them up, and then have Hulk come in there and do like a Hulk smash with the guy like tied up.
That'd be cool.
It's like chain combos together between different characters.
I like that a lot more.
Yeah, because that could be a good way to like kind of break defenses. And like you have to know your player composition when you're doing, like say you're doing like a payload, like they have an Overwatch payload mission where you're just like defending a thing and having to move it one way or the other.
Right.
So whenever the one team is coming in, they're like, okay, all right, Thor, you throw down your hammer to knock the sniper person out or whatever. Or like Black Widow could be playing you know, backline offense of just like shooting at people just to like keep fire going.
Right.
And then Spider-Man comes in to do the web, and then the other one comes in to like do the Hulk smash, and then Captain America can come in with his freaking like, you know, shield to like bounce it around to hit all the other people for additional damage. And I don't know, there could be a series of combos and things you could do to break up people and work together to defeat the enemy.
Right. You just got to find a way to centralize it so gear score isn't such a big thing, because you can't have someone who's like power level 60 or whatever, and you know someone power level 10. It's got to all. It would have somehow.
To be like just unlock completely, where it's just there's no like the score is just gone, and then they just have the full ability of that character in PvP. So it's like, you know, you're not limited to like the base level version, but you have the rockets of Iron Man and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Which would be kind of cool for a player to have like a fully kitted out player to like try a PvP, like a fully kitted out Iron Man, and see, oh man, I really like this. I'm gonna level him up in my PvE experience.
Actually, be
to
pretty
then
cool.
get to that point, you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So it's like a teaser to what a fully powered character would look like.